Good afternoon, everyone. It is 4:18 p.m. I now call the meeting to order. Stephanie, can we please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Ms.
Roll call, I'm
Bayham?
sorry.
Here. I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Ms. Bayham. Mr. Boynton?
Here,
Thank you, Jude. Can you turn on your camera? I need to see your face in order to count for the quorum.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Doyle? Mr. Meta?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Stewart?
Here.
And Ms. Washington? Here.
Thank you, Stephanie. Before we start, here are the meeting rules. For people in the room, raise your hand if you wish to speak. Wait until I call upon you before talking. Keep side conversations quiet. Stay on topic. Stay on the topic we are discussing. For people on Zoom, you must be on camera with your full name showing to count for quorum. Keep your microphone off unless I call on you. Click raise hand if you want to speak. Wait until I call on you before unmuting. For all attendees, the Q&A box is only for people who asked for ADA accommodation. It is not for public comment. Committee members, in person or virtual, speak first. Then in-person public members, then public members on Zoom. Please be patient. Hybrid meetings can be hard to manage. If we run short of times, comments may be limited. Comments about a person's character are not allowed. Public members will have one chance to comment on each agenda item. Each person will have 2 minutes. Public comment will also happen before a vote or at other times if I allow it. Let's work together to keep this meeting respectful and on track. So the first agenda item I have is the approval of the October meeting summary. And we need a vote for that. Everyone should have received the October meeting summary. A copy of that packet is linked to the agenda, which was sent by email. I need a motion to accept the minutes. Yeah. Okay, Melissa motions to accept, and I need a second.
Second. One more.
So, Melissa. And because of open meetings law, we must vote by roll call. Please, Stephanie, please take a roll call vote on that motion.
Sure. A vote for yes is to approve the October meeting summary. A vote for no is not to approve that summary. Ms. Bayham. Yes. Ms. Bayham, yes. Mr. Boynton.
Yes,
Mr. Boynton, yes. Dr. Meta.
Yes.
Dr. Meta, yes. Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, yes. Ms. Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Stewart, yes. Ms. Washington. Yes. Ms. Washington, yes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses. So the motion passes.
Great, thank you. The next agenda item I have is an Louisiana Rehab Services update from Melissa Bayham.
Good evening, everybody. I am going to give some updates. There's a lot going on at LRS, so if there's something that I missed that in particular you want me to cover, just let me know. I wanted to start with budget. So D of A, or the Division of Administration, put out the state fiscal year 27 budget, executive budget out, and in that budget we are levelly funded at $12 million. So there was some concern at one point that they were not gonna recur the $4 million that we received last year, but it was recurred, if that's a word, and we did have all of it was in that budget. So the ask that was published in the, what do you call it, the alert fact sheet, whatever it is, fact sheet that was sent out is accurate at the 6.7 million, which would be needed to draw down the rest of our federal funds. In terms of, I know one concern that we continue to have and continue to talk about is the entry-level pay for our rehabilitation counselors. Civil Service did publish that they are doing a change to the social service pay scale, which is the pay scale that our rehab counselors or most of our staff is in. There will be a slight increase from 1718 to 1752. That's on, I think, March the 2nd, I believe, is the date that that pay scale will change. We are still working with our Human Resources Department to officially request a special entrance rate from Civil Service to increase the starting pay for our rehab counselors. Because you have to have special approval from Civil Service to hire above the minimum rate of 1752. Something I'm very excited about that we're actually starting on February the 2nd. I'm developing 2 focus caseloads, and the one that I want to specifically talk about here is a caseload, meaning one counselor, or really it's going to be a counselor and a half because there'll be an overflow, but a counselor who will be dedicated to cases for individuals who are attending a comprehensive transition program, which we call CTPs. And I'm really excited about that because one of the complaints that we often get, because we have individuals from across the state attending CTPs, and because they're all unique and they have some unique circumstances, a lot of students were getting different information from different regions. It was not intentional, but because there's some nuances to all these different programs, it's hard for all the counselors, especially when we have a lot of new counselors, to kind of understand all those nuances for all those different programs. So now these 2 counselors will specialize in comprehensive transition programs. So we will have better services, more consistent services, since everybody will be receiving services from these 2 counselors. So we are working on moving some cases around from the cases that were in their caseloads, and we are continuing to hire rehabilitation counselors to fulfill their caseloads. We are also combining some regions for the deaf and the blind populations, just so that what has happened because of our turnover is some of our regions may not have a counselor dedicated to serving the deaf population or the blind population. And so then those cases get dispersed throughout the region. And so they end up with new counselors who don't have a lot of experience in those areas. And so this will ensure that they get a counselor who is a specialist with their disability. We have, I think in the last meeting, I mentioned that we were piloting a streamlined application process, and I'm happy to report that at the beginning of January, we implemented new manual material and forms to streamline the application, eligibility, and planning process. Basically, we are making sure that we're only collecting data that we need at application, that is needed at application, and only getting the information for eligibility to shorten that time period. And then once the person is eligible for services, then we start the planning process. What has kind of happened before is in that initial interview, there's a lot of planning that happens, which is not a bad thing, but it takes up a lot of time, and then it slows down the process. And then usually approximately 40% of people who are determined eligible don't end up following through with planning. And so that eliminates some of the time that you've spent for customers who don't end up wanting to follow through with services. So it should be a time saver at some point. The other thing I wanted to mention, Sarah, that is the communication software I mentioned before. We've gone through the whole procurement process and we're now in the implementation phase. So we are meeting every other week with staff from Sarah Works, and we're in the process of developing a plan to get everything done that needs to get done there, and all the training that needs to get accomplished. We're in the planning phase of that, so hopefully we will get that done soon. We are in the process of updating our state plan. We are required to do a modification every 2 years, and once that plan is available for public comment, I will let you all know. Those are the highlights, but if there's anything, I have a lot of things in my report. If there's something that I didn't cover that y'all would like me to cover, I will. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry about it.
Go ahead, Eric.
You said working with two, you talking about two counselors working with somebody? I know it's different.
So basically, I'm gonna have a counselor, and then I'm gonna have one counselor that's gonna be dedicated to just students attending comprehensive transition programs.
Okay,
And then I'm gonna have another counselor who's specifically dedicated to home and vehicle modifications. But that caseload is not, there's not enough people for a whole caseload, so she's gonna help with the other caseload, because we have over 160 students in, yeah.
people on tape, but they always, just working together.
They're gonna work together as a team, yeah. But the theory is, if these are the only cases that they're working, they'll become specialized in that.
Right.
Because what ends up overwhelming rehab counselors is we have like 30-something services in VR. And so if you only work certain cases, not that much, when you get those cases and you're not as familiar with them, it takes you more time to process those cases, if that makes sense.
No question. The modification of your vehicle.
Mhm.
Say if the vehicle is kind of modification already, because you can buy some big vehicles with lifts on them and stuff like that. But if you need something else done to the vehicle, besides what can you do?
Possibly. There's a lot of assessments that go with that, just to make sure that you're in the correct vehicle and to make sure that the modification is gonna work for you, but it is possible.
Like one more question, then I'm gonna sit down now. What if you don't drive, but you need a modification?
You don't have to be the driver. You could be the passenger.
Okay. I'm sitting down now.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions before we move on? Any public comment?
I have a question. I'm so sorry, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I believe, and you might talk about this in your report, I'm not sure. I think at the last meeting, we talked about, how y'all contracted out with, Easter Seals and FHF, right? So can you give us an update just on that information? If it's in the report, we can talk about it tomorrow, or I'm just curious.
No, I'm
I
glad
wasn't sure if they had like.
I'm glad you mentioned that, so I can make sure I talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, so Easter Seals, both of the contracts are now, they're through the process. So they've been executed. Now, Easter Seals, they have hit the ground running. They have already hired, because I think they hired internally. So it made it a little bit quicker for them. And so they're up and running in Shreveport. Now, Families Helping Families in New Orleans, they are in the process of hiring. We hit a little hiccup with the state background checks, but they're in the process of hiring. So once they get the staff hired, then we'll be up and running in New Orleans as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have one other question, and it has to do with the Sarah Works. Don't remember, and I know you told me this, and I'm sorry that I'm asking again. Is the Sarah Works program, is that for like providers and stuff to use, or is that for individuals to use?
So Sarah is essentially a communication software that is for our customers, meaning our clients, we call them customers, our clients and our counselors. So it allows a lot of things. I can go into it if you'd like me to, it's a lot. But it allows communication between the customer and the counselor, not the provider.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, to just make sure that, like, I guess depending on who it was geared towards, there is like an accessibility person that's reviewing this data to make sure that, you know, your people that are reaching out to their counselors or vice versa, it's easily accessible for them. And, you know, things are in plain language, it's easy to navigate.
Some of the technical aspects that you're talking about, that Sarah is used by many VR agencies.
Okay.
So accessibility is not an issue. Now, in terms of like the plain language and things that you're talking about, that's part of the implementation process that we literally just started.
Okay.
Where we're writing the scripts, like
Oh.
for what's going out, how, you know, it's a lot, but it's good. Like how often are communications gonna go out? The scripts, like if you're sending out something just to remind somebody of an appointment, we have to write the scripts for all that and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have one more question about it. I'm sorry.
It's very,
Fine.
I'm excited about Sarah.
It sounds very interesting, which is why I have questions. So. No, I'm sorry. Oh. Will there be training, not necessarily for like the counselors using it, but like clients or customers using this app to know like how to, like, is there an app or is there, I don't know how many of it is. I'm just.
That's
why
a
I'm
good question.
asking.
I do not know. I'll
Okay.
find out.
Just cause like, you could tell me that this exists, and if I'm a client, I'm like, okay, great, but if I don't know how to use it, then is it really benefiting
Right.
me?
And I don't know the answer to that, and I'll find out, but I will tell you, I know there's going to be something that's sent to the customer at the very beginning, and they can select how they want to be communicated with, like email, text, or both. And I do know that, like, you know, some of the text messaging things should be quite intuitive,
Okay.
but
That's it, I promise.
Thank you, Melissa. Any other questions? And any public comment? Seeing none, the next agenda item I have is a update from a representative from Louisiana Department of Education. Stephanie, do we have someone from LDOE?
We do not have a representative here today. So we're just gonna move on to the next item.
Okay,
if
great.
That is okay with y'all. And there will be one here tomorrow, so if you do have questions, please save those for tomorrow.
Okay, so the next agenda item I have is our recommendations for activities for the FY planning committee that's FY 27.
So I can kind of talk about it, really quickly. So. Oh, thank you. I sent everybody the goal 3 of the action plan. This committee is responsible for goal 3, that is, education and employment is what that goal is based on. So under goal 3, there are, I think, 3 objectives. I have papers everywhere, so I'm trying to remember. Yes, 2? Just 2, I'm sorry, 2 objectives.
It's people with, you want to read them out? Yeah.
I can read them if y'all want me to. I found it. If y'all want me to read it, I can. If not, that's good too. It's in everybody's packet. I just
Go ahead and read it just in
included.
case.
Sure, and I just included goal 3 in your packet just to not overwhelm everyone. But I'll read the goal and I can read those 2 objectives for y'all. The goal says People with intellectual and developmental disabilities will be able to learn and grow in schools and programs where they are safe, included, and supported. They will also be able to pick jobs they like, get paid fairly, and work with people with and without disabilities. Objective 1 is people with intellectual and developmental disabilities will be able to learn in safe, supportive, and welcoming places at every stage of life, from early childhood through adulthood. And then objective 2 is people with intellectual and developmental disabilities will get the support they need to find jobs they want. Find jobs they want where they are paid fairly, included, and treated with respect. So the first objective is kind of aimed more towards the education part, or like early childhood and education, and including post-secondary education. And then the second objective is more geared towards that employment part of this goal. So if you have any recommendations, and these are recommendations for the activities, these are the activities that are going to be on here. I will say goal 3 is always real light in activities. It's the thing that they'll talk about a lot. So maybe if you have any ideas or things that you were thinking that might fit in here, please recommend them. That's all I have for that.
Aiden, I see your hand.
I have a question about this. What is considered paid fairly?
Comparable to peers with the same level of education.
Okay, so it shouldn't matter what your disability is.
Correct. Shouldn't matter if you have or not, or not, that we should be paid fairly in a living wage.
So what if it does? What if your disability affects your pay?
I can let somebody else try to. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ebony.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So I was asking, it said something about getting paid fairly and work with people with and without disabilities. Okay, so what does being paid fairly, what does that fall under?
Like, how would you
How would I
define
define
that?
it?
And yeah,
So, of course, the goal of the council is for all individuals to have competitive integrated employment. So it will be competitive to whatever someone else in that same job would be making. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
My next question is, what if the person with the disability is not getting paid fairly? What if they're getting paid under what they're actually supposed to be getting paid?
So that is why you guys have your 5-year plan, because we want to make sure that if there's advocacy that needs to be done, if there's capacity building, or if there's systems change, which a lot of times it's a little bit of all of those things. So that's why we're trying to come up with ideas. So if you have an idea for advocacy, or if you have an idea to build capacity within the disability community so that individuals are paid fairly, and not sub-minimum wage or anything like that, or if you have an idea on how a systems change activity that we could engage in, that's why we're trying to get these ideas.
Because right now, we don't get paid fairly. We are paid under minimum wage, and our monthly income is docked because of the few hours we can work plus what we get paid. Okay, I understand if we were paid minimum wage and getting docked for our SSI, but we're not. So it's like we're getting hit in both places. So I would like a little,
So
more.
if I could, Aid, maybe then the answer to that would be, we could create, some information to kind of explain how, Social Security works in terms of what the, requirements are for them. Because I think what you're saying is, if you're receiving Social Security disability, you have, obviously, there is a financial component, is that where you're only allowed a certain amount of income, correct? So maybe as a council, we could work with the Social Security office to say, how can we create information to make sure that people who receive those benefits can work to their full capacity while still maintaining the services they have, right? And make sure they can earn as much as possible. Because I think a lot of times people who receive Social Security, as you said, can be afraid to work and feel like they're being underpaid. So then how do we, then I think that the next step to that would be to say, can we do something as a council to say, to ensure that they are getting the information they need to make sure that they, number one, can work and earn whatever it is, whatever the amount is. And Melissa, please chime in.
Yeah, so what you're describing exists already.
Yeah,
And so like, for example, if you come through LRS, we have access to benefits planners, and I actually have one on staff who can explain that information to you. So that information is available. But I think part of your question has to do more of maybe employers being unfair. Is that what you're saying? In addition to the Social Security issue?
Right.
Right.
And so, because I am very familiar with what you can do and what you can't do, and the very, thin lines, because they're thin. They're thinner than what we're told, actually. So I just need to know who I need to get with and what we need to do to fix that issue, because it is a very big problem.
And I'm not sure how you fix issues with employers.
So are you looking for maybe an activity for someone where that can look or call the employer on your behalf? I mean, if I remember correctly, is it DRLA? DRLA?
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember last time he mentioned if there was such an issue, they can look at it, right, and see how many cases they can take. And then we can have, try an activity on the objective one. And if we send, let's say, a case that you know about, someone that is being unfairly treated, all right, and we can call him and, you or however we're gonna do that, and he can look. He said they don't know how many cases they can look at, let's say, on a quarterly basis, but they can look at them and see how many of these cases they can take. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Someone to advocate on behalf of the employee?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what we can do to change the minimum wage for us, because the last I looked, it's still $5.25.
That should be.
I mean, outside of like a shelter workshop situation, you shouldn't be paid less than paid.
Just $7.25.
So if you are, then, then you
Correct.
have an issue with your employer, that's, definitely where DRLA could come in and assist.
Okay,
Or if not, at least help you find someone that can assist in that sort of situation.
okay.
And that's the legal lens, but also I know, one of the struggles that we have in LRS is, our vendors that provide employment services should be out there talking to employers, educating employers and things like that. And I know we have some good vendors, but we don't have enough vendors. And they probably could be trained better. 'Cause that's one of the things that we cannot use our funds to train vendors on how to provide employment services. We can provide training on our forms and LRS policy. But I know, that's one of our limitations with our funding is that we can't provide training to help them be better service providers.
So,
Go ahead. Ebony.
I know that the council did engage in an activity, maybe a couple of years ago where we did employment seminars. And so they were sort of like focused more so on individuals with disabilities rather than the vendors, like what Melissa is saying. Of course, any professional could have joined those seminars. They were open to the public, so anybody could have joined. But it was more so like storytelling, from the point of view of an individual with disabilities, like their stories about how they got employment, how they're not making sub minimum wage. So if you want to recommend to the planning committee an activity where we actually train the vendors, that is something that the council can definitely do because that's a capacity building activity.
I think that would be a good opportunity as well for Aiden maybe to come in and say, this is what I've experienced and how do we make sure that, is as isolated an incident as possible.
Because I know also, it's different for someone that's on SSI versus someone that's on SSDI, which blows my mind. But, yeah, I do feel that that's something that really is needed.
Oh, does any of the, does the state keep up any with any of this? Like, do they have a survey? Have the states ever done a survey to see how they treat,
Got a survey, how they take it from,
Yeah.
and they got a survey, how you take it from.
So I can try to provide an answer. So I know like the state as a model employer, they did, and this is only for state agencies. This isn't gonna go outside of that. So if you have a private business or a nonprofit or anything like that, they're not gonna research
I see.
their employment practices. But as far as like state agencies, there has been surveys sent out to state agencies to ask whether or not employees have a disability. And it goes out to all state employees. And so you can answer the survey and say whether or not you're a person with a disability. I don't know if you guys.
No.
But there is a survey that kind of goes out and that they ask about that, but that's only for state agencies, not outside.
Trying to think the last time, I don't think I did one. It's been a couple of years, right?
Yeah,
I've been-
it hasn't been recent.
Because I was gonna say, I've been
since
this for about 3 years, I don't think I've ever taken that survey.
It's actually now in Lino.
Oh, okay.
I think you can,
I may take it.
you can put your disability status in.
Okay,
Oh, in Leo. Oh, I didn't know that.
there you
Okay.
go. Yes, go ahead, Stephanie.
Aiden, I just wanted to make sure that I captured what you said. I also shared it up here just to make sure that I'm capturing, because you kind of gave two different ideas, so I.
Sorry, I was kind of all over the.
No, I just wanted to make sure that I had everything and this is what you were trying to, or what I understood. So to create information and training on how Social Security works so that people with disabilities can work and be compensated fairly. And then the second one is training for vendors. So one is the training for the people, right? And then the second would be training for vendors on employment and how to support people with developmental disabilities. Is that correct? Okay, I just want to make sure I had it.
And I think if I could
Correct.
add something to that as well, and
Sure.
maybe this may be a separate thing, but I think that there should be a pipeline for people who have, SSDI, SSI, Medicaid, that want to potentially work full-time. Because at some point in my career, I had to make a choice to walk away from those services in order to work full-time. And that's always a hard choice. So how do we, if you're interested and willing to do that, the big question that keeps people from making that step is, well, I'm gonna lose my services, right? So how do we transition people off those services that you do have the opportunity to? For me, I had a clean break and I moved states, so I was gonna lose Medicaid anyway when I moved from Louisiana to Florida, so it made it easier. But that, you know, I'm one of one, right? So how do we say, if you want to work full-time, and if you want to go to college, get a degree, get a bachelor's degree, whatever it is, and you do eventually want to, your plan is to work full-time, how do we make it easier to get off those services that you rely on now, so that when you do start entering the workforce, you're able to work full-time?
It just one, and I can't provide y'all details on this yet because I haven't talked to the person yet. But there's something called a Cliff tool that I'm supposed to, I'm literally in the middle of scheduling a meeting with them. And it's supposed to provide people with information about that benefit. The Cliff tool has to do with the benefits cliff.
Yeah.
And it might do what you're saying.
I'm so glad you're here, Melissa. That's working so well. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, I think that's something that is, along with Aiden's point, is like, when you have these state and federal services, the, you know, sort of the prevailing wisdom is, if you have it, you stay on it. So how do we make it to where there is gainful employment out there, and, you know, everyone is doing what they can, but also it makes it to where it is possible to thrive without STI, without Medicaid, Medicare, and, you know, doing that. It's a conscious choice you have to make, and it is incredibly difficult to do. So anything we can do as a council, as a committee, to provide information to say it is possible, I think is a really good thing. So that should be added to the, so what you did, so thank you.
Can I have one more comment on it? So, but what about those that are doing it the right way? Okay, those that are paying people $11 an hour and $12 an hour. So is there a way, because I mean, it's all about marketing, you know, for example, this, I don't know, McDonald's on the corner of this street and that street is doing well and treating everybody equally, right? And paying everybody, you know, the same wages. On that flip side, is there anything that can be done to make the other McDonald's ashamed of not doing?
I don't know, Shane, but what if we, like, an idea for that would be, like, if we highlighted businesses that do
Yes.
really well, right?
Yes.
As a,
Yes, yeah, here you go.
like not necessarily like, you know, LDH approved, but like something to find a way to highlight, you know, the vendors that Melissa,
Yeah.
that they work with, that work really well, and say, hey, we love these people. They, you know, for example, the governor's office has Employer of the Year awards beginning every year. We, you know, you can go back and say, hey, these people have worked with the disability community in the past. It would be, then they're good places to start. So I think it's as part of all of this work, to also say, how do we then highlight, and that's working with vendors, that's working with the DDC to say, these are the employers that we know are committed to it, and then, you know, get them in front of people like Aiden who want to work and just don't necessarily know, you know, what that is. I think that's another way to do it, is to add that in and highlight that in some capacity. I don't want to speak for everyone and say what that is, but put that on the list.
You could take that option and incorporate it into your first two goals.
Yeah.
For individuals, you bring in those vendors that are doing it right, and then the training for vendors, you also include those that are doing it right as part of the training to sort of help support that information.
So I have something else.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Melissa, I know like at one point you guys were doing job fairs. And so do y'all have any plans to like do any job fairs
We
like
did,
coming up?
we did one job fair a year, but Healthy Blue sponsored it.
Oh.
They haven't been able to sponsor it.
That's right, 'cause y'all
Okay.
spend your money.
No,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, what about, I like what you said. What about like, even if they don't do it, but what about other workforce? I mean, I don't know, chambers of commerce, or like when they're doing job fairs, maybe connecting with them and.
getting some
You
of
know,
those
getting
businesses
some of
out.
those
I mean,
businesses out
again, you
there.
guys have money. You know, 70% of your money has to go towards your state plan, so you can put money towards like not only doing vendor training, but you can also put money towards,
Collaborating,
collaborating with
Other,
another organization
workforce.
like LRS.
yeah.
To put on a job fair, since Healthy Blue has not been able to,
But the job fairs are kind of interesting, meaning the VR federal regulations they're a beast. And it's like you have to only provide services to VR participants, but when you have a job fair, you're serving the public. And so it gets really complicated as to whether or not, and that's why we only did it in conjunction with Healthy Blue, because we use their sponsorship.
What about a virtual job fair to where you would
It was
target, like a targeted specific to LRS? Could you do that to where it's just to your clientele?
Possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
No.
spitballing. I don't know.
No, it's a great idea. It's just when new things come to me, I don't like to give a definite answer. until-
Yeah. I'm just, the way around that would be to say, you know, cut the public out of it and not cut the public. Well, you know what I'm saying, like the general public and target it specifically to your clientele.
Yeah.
If that's allowed, I don't even know. And that's a question for you and you'll come back to us on that. But
Are there any incentives or there could be any incentives for employers that work with?
So,
go ahead, Evan.
Dr. Miller, when we did the employment seminars, they talked about all of the incentives that employers receive if they hire individuals with disabilities. So again, those seminars were catered more to individuals with disabilities so that they would know the benefits. But I think, like Melissa's saying, a lot of the vendors I don't know if they know all of the benefits that are available to them, because I know there's tax incentives and, yes, and other things, that would entice them to become a vendor or, you know, a business that Liam was saying that we could highlight that actually does a great job with making things accessible, having an accessible workplace.
And actually the work opportunity tax credit, that department is in the Office of Workforce Development where we sit.
So I guess the question is, how do we get it to them if they know or they may not know, or is they can outweigh the, you know, the work that they have to do to hire, you know, someone with disability. So, I mean, do we feel like most of the employers may not be fully aware of the benefits? Or
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think that just companies aren't aware of like the benefits that they can receive. And that's something that could be included in the training. I think it's a great idea if you guys include an activity like that. And even have businesses to come and train, businesses that are doing it well, to come and train those vendors on how they can do it, how to change your culture at your organization, and how to start attracting individuals with disabilities to come and get those jobs.
Or even connecting with post-secondary, you know, yeah, because UL Life, they already have established internships with various places around, and NBA, a lot of them already have, you know, individuals with disabilities already working, highlighting and just collaborating more with them too, you know. That's something, because they have a lot of different, I guess we call them vendors, but a lot of them, those kids are working at Nichols, at UL Life. They're working. They have established rapport with those employers. So highlighting those so people can really, you know what is offered and just having that connection with them too. It's just it's a lot that you can do.
One more question.
Go ahead, Aiden.
Okay, so the people who are on disability and on SSDI, who is in charge of like if say, okay, we want them to go to work, who's in charge of our pay? Who says, hey, this is what this person gets paid? Who's in control of that?
So
Go ahead, Ebony.
that would be disability determination. I think they're
Yeah.
within DCFS.
No, they're LDH now.
Oh, they're under LDH now. Okay, so they moved because they were under DCFS. Now they are under LDH.
Okay,
And so basically and I think your question is specifically, it's less about the amount of money you make per hour. It's more about the amount of money you can make per month.
right.
And that is set at the federal level, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, and Melissa, please back me up.
Right, so my understanding is disability determinations, literally, that's what that's all they do.
Yeah.
And then they determine you eligible. But then you're with Social Security, I think, at that point,
Right.
in terms of how much you're actually getting paid.
Yeah, but no, but to your point, Aiden, it's less about, because no one from Social Security is gonna say, you can make, $10 a month versus $10 an hour versus $15 an hour. What they care about more is the aggregate amount per month, as long as it doesn't exceed their, whatever the predetermined, because it changes every couple of years, they'll change it. So I don't know what the current rate is per month, but as long as you don't exceed that annual allowance, then you're allowed to work as much as you'd like.
Okay,
So I think that's the sort of
And the benefits planners I was talking about before, they literally can get the information directly from Social Security, and they can give you, they're highly trained, so they can give you some very good information as to how much you can make a month and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
okay,
So and it sounds like separately from this, we need to get you with Melissa, maybe set you up with a benefits planner. And then
okay,
go from there.
okay. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Unless anyone else has anything else for that, we're gonna move on to the contract.
I have
Yes,
just one more suggestion. Since we are talking about benefits planning, I just asked Brenton because he has more historical knowledge about some of the activities that the council has engaged in, but I don't think they've had a recent activity where there's been training on benefits planning, on the things that Melissa is talking about. You can work, and Liam are talking about, you can work this many hours and before it affects your SSI.
Right,
And so, or SSDI. And so I think that could be another activity that the council engages in, like Stephanie already mentioned. Goal 3 is one of the goals that has very light activities. Oh, yeah. I was just suggesting to the committee, and this is for y'all, this is up to y'all, you can send this to the planning committee, but also just doing the training to build capacity within individuals with disabilities on benefits plan. Yeah. And then, like who to contact and like what agencies are out there, because I know there's Lighthouse, right, Melissa?
And I'm not a counselor anymore, so I don't keep up with that stuff, but I know Lighthouse.
Lighthouse, yes.
LSU HTC used to be one, I don't remember if they still are, because they had certain territories.
I'll link you with people with the Disability Determination Office, and they might be able to know who are some
Oh,
benefits planners.
I can find out, my counselors know.
Okay.
I just don't know off the top
That's
of my
fine.
head.
Okay.
I'll let you, no, I don't want to take your, no, by all means, I got enough going on, Melissa, you go ahead.
Got it.
You do that.
Oh, Constance has.
We have a hand raised. Constance, go ahead.
Yes, so HDC does do benefit planning.
They have separate territories, so I know they have one territory and Lighthouse has a different territory, I think we have a map.
We did. Stephanie, go ahead.
I have one more suggestion if y'all wanna take it. And it's only because these are great. They all fall under only one of the objectives though, which is employment. And one of the things that we spoke about, I believe it was at the executive committee today, was that FBA's, the functional behavioral analysis, was gonna be taken off of the advocacy agenda. So I was just, to give you an idea, I know it will be something that the Education and Employment Committee will be talking about because it falls under this, but I didn't know if y'all wanted an activity about it. an activity or funding, I guess, because it could always just be written as we get an update from the Department of Education, but I didn't know if there was anything else to do that you would like to see with that in regards to funding an activity, if that makes sense. Or anything in education, really. Constance has her hand raised.
Go ahead, Constance.
So I know one of the areas like in education is in early childhood realm is really like providing support and trainings for daycare providers at that younger age on how to support behaviors and helping provide resources for them, because what's happening is they end up kicking younger children out with challenging behaviors instead of providing that support. There's that lack of support there. So there's some way to provide support and training for early childhood. I think I had something related to what Stephanie was saying, but that one has went away.
Do any other committee members have anything to add? Stephanie, can we review these, please?
Sure. I'll go ahead and just read all of them kind of quickly, but if I go too fast, please let me know. And if you want me to change anything on here, and just as a reminder, if you weren't here for our last meeting for SDCI, these are just ideas that will be given to the planning committee. And then once we kind of have these ideas and the activities, the real fine tuning of it comes from when we get the proposals. So it doesn't have to be super specific because that's going to be the planning committee doing that. And it doesn't have to have like an outline of what you want to see done. But I mean, I did take notes on things that y'all were interested in to make sure that when we do send out those proposals, we include that information as like, it needs to include this, so your proposal should include that. So these are just concepts, just some ideas to throw out. So, but if there's something that I left out, please let me know and I'll go ahead and edit it, or if I didn't capture it correctly. So the first one was create information or training on how social security works so that people with disabilities can work and be compensated fairly. And mentioning like highlighting businesses and vendors and employers that are doing a great job with that. Trainings or seminars for vendors on employment and how to support people with developmental disabilities, and the same, including that highlight of vendors and employers that are doing a great job, and also making sure to include that it has the benefits of hiring people with disabilities. A pipeline for SSDI or SSI, that pipeline for people on
Recipients.
Recipients, thank you.
Yep.
Recipient, I can't spell y'all, I'm sorry. I was a math teacher, not an English teacher. A pipeline for recipients of SSDI or SSI that want to work full-time to transition away from those services, a job fair sponsorship or funding opportunity, training on benefits planning, such as like who to contact and things like that. And then providing support and trainings for early childhood for children with disabilities. Support and training, did I say that? And then Constance has her hand raised, sorry.
Constance, go ahead.
I thought of another one just kind of related to transition in that K-12 space, and really helping to support and making sure that schools are starting transition in middle school and really building in those supports for our students with more significant disabilities and needs, that moderate to significant range.
How does that look, Constance? Is that kind of what you're looking for, or is there something that you need me to change?
No, I think that covers it.
So can I get a motion to send these to the planning committee?
To the full council? To the full council,
Sorry, I'm sorry. I need a motion to send these suggestions to the full council meeting, which will happen tomorrow. Aiden?
Oh. Sorry, it was committee.
Aiden's on the committee. I thought he was on the committee. I said, okay, so Eric, you want a motion? Okay,
Okay, Eric motions.
and then can I get a second?
I second.
That's it, okay.
We,
Yeah, we know that's it.
Yeah, who's second, Renata?
Renata? You know, multiple people second, you can also second. From now, we're gonna move on to the
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I have to do a vote, right? I still have to do the vote, yes, okay. So I'm gonna do a roll call vote, so there is, a vote yes is that you would like to recommend this list of recommendations to the full council. I'll kind of zoom out a little just so y'all can see it. To the full council, a vote no is that you do not want to recommend it to the full council, and I'll go ahead and take that roll call vote if y'all are ready. Okay, Ms. Bayham?
Abstain.
Abstain. Ms. Bayham abstain. Mr. Boynton?
Yes.
Mr. Boynton, yes. Dr. Meta?
Yes.
Dr. Meta, yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, yes. Ms. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Stewart, yes. And Ms. Washington?
Yes.
Ms. Washington, yes. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses, so the motion passes.
From now, we're going to the EE contractual updates. Stephanie, can you please provide an update on that?
Yeah, so. I had a paper with my update. Here it is, I'm sorry. There is one activity, this is activity 3.1.4 on your plan, which is 3.1. Oh, maybe it is. I might have missed the number. Maybe 3.1.5. It's one or the other. The transition to adulthood one. So the DD Council has partnered with Team Dynamics to expand that training. They were doing it last year. They are still doing it this year. They have they sent out a voluntary anonymous survey to get input from individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, their family and caretakers. The survey was to identify those skills, information and resources needed for successful transition to adult life. So the survey had topics, and based on the topics for each region are the trainings that they're gonna do. So each training is tailored to this survey. So they're taking the survey results and they are like separating them out. So all of the people that answered and I actually just got the results yesterday for the survey, like it just closed. So I can kind of talk about that more at the next meeting, but I'm just gonna use region 110 for an example. They're gonna take all of the people who said that they live in region 110 and look at what they chose. What things did they want to get a training on? So it could have been, voting rights or health and well-being or financial information like banking and stuff, because they did one on that. And then they take the two that have the highest amount of votes of importance And those are the two that they do their training. So for that region specifically, but each region had different needs, so they are tailoring each training to the needs of what the survey says. The other thing that they included this time on the survey, which came directly from the feedback from their last set of trainings, is preferred dates and times. So they specifically asked people, when could you come? Is this like, you can only come on weekends? What month is best? What times are best for you? What days of the week are best for you? In order to maximize the amount of people that can come to their trainings. So we sent out an LADDC news on November 17th with that survey, just to send out if anybody was interested in it. And like I said, I think it just closed maybe over the weekend, because they just sent me the results. I haven't even been able to look at them yet. They are doing some different kind of workshops where they're speakers at other workshops. So they were, in October, they held a workshop in Ponchatoula at SOAR. Sorry, I don't know what it stands for, but SOAR, SOAR. And then there was one other one and I don't remember. Is it LRC? Maybe I'm getting confused with the other training, sorry. But anyway, that's that information. So the final date, the topics that are selected and the locations, once I have all of that information, we will be sharing that through an LADDC news so that everybody can schedule if they'd like to go. And that is all I have for my update, unless you have a question.
Any council members have questions? Any public questions? Seeing none? We will now move on to announcements. Tomorrow is the full council meeting. It begins at 10 a.m. in this room. Please note the new schedule because of this location. Do any committee members have announcements?
Oh, I'm sorry, I do have an announcement.
Go ahead, Seth.
I made the same announcement at the SDCI meeting, so I'm gonna make it at this meeting also. I know we just went through the recommendations for the planning committee that will go to the planning committee as long as the council approves them. And that does mean that the planning committee will be meeting probably at the end of March or April. We try to get the meeting before the April meeting, the April council meeting, because that is when you need to vote on the plan so that we can have it ready for October. So all that to say that please volunteer or think about it for the planning committee. So if you have good ideas and you would really like to, help us and help the council with writing these activities and, making our annual work plan benefit everybody and really work towards that. It is a lot of work. It is a full day meeting, but they're usually pretty good and I'll be there. But yeah, just consider joining it and volunteering when they ask for volunteers tomorrow. That's my only announcement.
Are there any other announcements from council members, committee members? I'm sorry. All right, any public comment? Yep, seeing none, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 5:22 p.m. Thank y'all.
Good one.